14, almost 15%. That is how much you could have made if you followed my advice getting into Nvidia last week. And advices, tips and tricks, that is why you're here. You are listening to the StockInvest.us podcast, Trading Tips with Jim, as we're heading into week 38. And I can say straight up front, I believe it will be a boring week where it might not end like last week. Because last week was indeed a very good week. Nasdaq up almost 6%, 5.96% for Nasdaq, ending the week at 17,684 levels we have discussed as resistance levels. Dow Jones had a good week as well, up 2.6% for Dow Jones. Nasdaq, by the way, had the best week in 2024 so far. Is there more to come? Maybe, who knows? But I believe that given the huge upturn last week, I expected it to come at the end of the week, maybe this week, but it came a little sooner. It started already on Tuesday and the Nasdaq just went up, up, up. Is there more to gain moving ahead? Of course, you never know. It can be another 6% or it can be down. But we will anyway try to get to a conclusion. And one of the things that always matter is what is happening in the week ahead of us. What are the big things that can move the market? And this week will be Fed on Wednesday. That's the only major thing of the week, except possible Ukraine escalation. If Ukraine get the permission to fire long-distance rockets into Russia, that could change the game totally. But with only Fed speaking, and we know that players have already tried to estimate where Fed will land on Wednesday. Everyone agrees that there will be an interest cut. Will it be 0.25 or will it be 0.5%? I don't think anything will matter if it comes in at 0.25. I'm not sure market will react too much if it comes in by 0.5%. I already think market has discounted that cut. 0.25 might be on the more negative side, but I'm not sure if 0.5 will be on the positive side, pushing market upwards. And with very, very few quarter results this week, it's actually only one thing I personally will pay attention to is General Mills also on Wednesday, simply because I like to see how consumers behave. There is a few other, but there's nothing really much. So, given the fact that we had a huge upturn last week, mainly driven by big tech and especially Nvidia. Nvidia you could have bought for, I think it was low 103 on the Monday, but you could easily have bought it for 104, and on Friday you could have sold it for 119. I think it was even above 120, and you could have gained more than 14% on the trade. Did I do it myself? Yes, of course I did, because it was a very obvious buy. I am out because I saw it as a bounce up opportunity, and heading back to 120, I'm not sure if there is that much more upside. So personally, I went out. I just wanted to take what I saw as a bounce opportunity in the market in general and Nvidia in general. Other than that, I am well positioned. I will get back to that in just a few minutes. So why do I think that it can become a boring week? Well, as I said, there is very, very few news. There is Fed on Wednesday, but I think market already discounted it. If Fed for some reason come out with some very strange things, now going to 0.75 or just 0.15, these things can absolutely shake the market, but in general there is absolutely no expectation of such sort. So, and it's very unrealistic to believe. So in general, given that, I think that the market took out quite much of the potential last week. If we look at the chart, Nasdaq is now hitting the resistance. I told you 17,600 will be huge resistance. I'm not sure it will move over. If we are lucky, Nasdaq can move upwards to 18,300, should be fairly possible. But I'm not sure it will happen. And if we look at the volume, we can tell that the trading volume is going down and down in the market. Never a good sign. So I think market is in general reluctant, not sure where things will push. And these bounces that we see, they are very natural because Nasdaq fell from almost 18,000 down to less than 17,000, 16,800. Now it's just bouncing up. Fairly natural thing. Question is, will it push further? If it does, it will face a lot of resistance where it is, meaning that most likely we should see small moves. There is no reason to believe that, for instance, today on the Monday we will see 2-3% move. Would surprise me a lot. I would expect that a little up, a little down, and more or less uneven. It's first if it shows 2-3 days of somewhat gains. I think that it can have a push, and it might be actually on the Wednesday pushing up to 18,500. I hold it not very likely. So that being said, so where do I think market will end? I said to you, I think it was either last week or the week before, maybe it was the week before, that given the trend Nasdaq is in now, in my view, it's a very hard chance that we will get to an uprising trend. These things may happen. I see it all the time posted in financial news. Big players saying no, market will be exceptional by the end of the year. We're getting into the best bull rally of all times, etc. But in the meantime, there is a lot of things happen in the economies. I'm not sure why exactly these things will happen. A few things that you have to realize. So we are celebrating inflation getting almost down to 2%. If you go to Norway, they are celebrating it will be the best adjustments of salaries in a decade, they say. But if you get more salary, it just means that your employer has to pay more for the cost side, the production of things, meaning that he or she or whoever it is will just have to increase the prices on the goods, which again will just go to the end consumer. This is a thing that we see in Europe. This is a thing that we see in Scandinavia. It's a thing that we see in the US, and I think inflation is just temporary. The worst thing, and I've been speaking about this for more than 2 years now, is heading into stagflation, which is the most likely scenario as we speak. I think Matt Dillon said that he holds 30% probability of stagflation. Stagflation is a period with no growth and still high inflation. I think that is exactly where we are. It will take some time to materialize, but hopefully I will be wrong. Everything is okay. The reason why I tell you is because I will not increase my positions in the market. I enjoyed the bounce last week. The market went up a little bit more than I thought. I reduced some of the positions on Friday, so I'm back to my low position, waiting for that perfect buying opportunity. If there is a perfect buying opportunity, any stock in any market, I will tell you first up, as I always do. Sum it up, I have no great expectations for the week ahead of us. I have a hard time to see it be like last week. We took the potential very early. I was expecting it to be either end of last week or this week, but it, as I said, it just went very well all week, more or less. Bringing, by the way, FATE up to 402. And our $1,000 challenge, the last trade into FATE is 17.89% in profits so far. After we being low, but I told you last week, I think FATE will gain traction in the good week. Am I still in FATE? Will I continue? You will know in just a few minutes. Let's round up this part. So from the chart, looking just at the chart, looking at the technical picture, I think it's not an obvious case that Nasdaq should continue upwards. I'm not sure that now we will celebrate the rate cuts, but then people will understand, okay, if interest rates are being cut, no, there is a reason why it, and that is to try to stimulate the economy. And if the economy is not so good, well, what about the income side of companies? How will the next few quarters be? And I don't think they will be on the best side of things. But good things are happening anyway. As you know, I'm very much into gold. I like gold. I advised you when gold was $1,600. I said I will buy gold, and I did. Gold currently hit a new record, now sitting above $2,600, currently $2,613 after being up more than $70 last week, or 2.7%. And energy and oil pushing slightly in the right direction, $69 for the oil. And if we look at one of the new tools which I made at getagraph.com, my test site, market status, you can see that energy is flashing buy signals all over, and that will be the main tip of the week. I think there is an upside in the energy sector. If to gamble on anything, I think, as I said, there is an upside in the energy sectors. Basic materials also showing good signs, but many of these others are flashing either close to sell signals, or at least either they flash sell signals or at least very close to sell signals. So that, if you're looking for a stock tip, you've been waiting this far just to hear now what should I buy, because you want to take advice of others instead of finding your own path, which is absolutely what you should do. Develop your own strategy, find out how to recharge. At StockInvest.us, we try to make this as simple as possible. We give you AI tools, we give you everything. All we want is for you to start make your own decisions, understand what is happening, make yourself the trader, not always listening to everyone. Yes, I am very, very often right in the things that I say, but not always, and you have the ability to be 10 times, 50 times better than me, and many of you probably are. And we shouldn't always listen because everyone has a sort of bias. Make up your own mind. It's a good thing. Buy signals, sell signals, how are they moving? Last week I said there is no getting to a close where we should start to see some rebounds. That was why I argued for the rebounds, especially at Nasdaq. Nasdaq still very low, 18% buy signals for Nasdaq, meaning that at some selected stocks there should be an upside. What worries me is a little bit New York Stock Exchange being way too high at 43, meaning that there is more downside to New York Stock Exchange. And if Dove listed companies, etc., starting to again go sideways or slightly down, it's very hard for Nasdaq to follow up, and I'm not sure NVDA will push that much higher either, pushing Nasdaq by such. London 28% buy signals, somewhat in the middle. Frankfurt had good weeks, up 37% buy signals for Frankfurt, getting way too high, while Tokyo and Shenzhen China 16 and 13. These are good levels, I would say. Should see some again upside in Shenzhen. And for you, my listeners from India National Stock Exchange of India, sitting at 41% buy signals, flashing a double top, indicating that it should go down, and I think it will. So being very positive for India for a very long time. I'm currently not sure that you will see the best weeks moving ahead. And in India, I told you many weeks ago that if I would to buy any stock, I would buy Bharti Hexacom, Bharti Hexa, and I said that when it was 1,090 rupee, currently sitting at 1,355 rupee, or up 23% since I said I would personally go there. India have been so good so long, even have a golden star in the index chart, but currently everything is flashing a sell signal. I think you will see National Stock Exchange of India go back down to 24,000 points, and I think it might happen very fast, very brutal. We will see. Hopefully I'm just wrong. I'm just telling you what I think will happen. 10-year Treasury yield, of course, that is very correlated to what Fed says, currently sitting at 3.65 or down 0.25. Low 10-year Treasury yield is what we want. That was my mantra. This is a 5-year long podcast, and when 10-year Treasury yield was really low, I told you it will climb. I gave you the reasons why, and I said you as long as it goes up, it will be tough on the market. Was spot on. Now it's going down. We like that. It's a good thing. If it continues down, unless we head into stagflation, it is in general a good sign for the market. A little bit mixed signals here, but maybe you get the main point. So for the week ahead of us, I'm not sure Nasdaq will do as much. I personally will not be surprised if it falls back after having such a good week last week. Still some potential upside, but getting up about 18,300 and resistance starts to come. Repetition once again. Energy sector flashing lots of buy signals. I think it might be a good point. You heard me about EV. EV had such a good weekend, especially NEO, and you know I've been picking NEO at several low points. I will even pick a little bit more. NEO had 2-3 very good weeks lately, putting nice profit. Currently they are sitting, if you look at Tesla, currently Tesla is sitting at a stable position, not showing any reason why it should go very fast onwards. And NEO is already flashing a few sell signals, should probably go back to $5 before pushing further up. Things are signaling that things have changed for NEO, by the way. In general, I am very optimistic by EV. It's going to take time, but I think in the long run, and we speak the long run, I think that electric vehicles, EV sector is at a good place now. War sector, of course, the place you want to be for super dividends, super returns, and everything in between. That thing can only be disrupted by US election, depending which candidate we get. Now, if we get Democrats again, we can just expect more wars. It's very simple, actually, and you don't have to be very biased to see that. Actually, it can escalate to something really terrible. You need someone with a peace agenda to start de-escalate situations around the world. If not, we are just continuing escalating up countries and regions after regions, and in this, war industry is just raking in money. You heard me say that I think Boeing is a good option at this point. I still believe that. A lot of fuss back and forth around Boeing now, and you have to maybe take some losses here and there, but in general, I think Boeing is a company that just will get back on track after some turbulence. And Boeing used to be a major dividend player, and I think it will not take long before we will be back on the track. So that's another single stock thing, but again, think long term. There is no reason why, for instance, Boeing should be a super buy in the short term. That was back in, I guess, December, early January. No, not early January. It must have been almost a year ago, October. I told you that Boeing at 160 was a super buy. It went up to $240. That was a super buy, but again, we are getting to levels where I think, if you're for the long haul, I think Boeing just might add a good option. When it turns, it's slowly starting to slow the fall. But exactly where it will be, of course, if you are a low risk trader, just wait for more upward strength because it's in a downward strength. But long term, absolutely Boeing, and energy looks very good to me. We are 18 minutes into the podcast. No reason to prolong it so much. Let's get to the $1,000 challenge, where I've been trying to grow $1,000 as fast as I can. I started with the $1,000 because, as you know, when I was young, I had from $400, approximately $400, which I invested into the market, was able to pick good candidates and slowly build up a portfolio. And after running portfolios here in this podcast with high success, I wanted to start everything over. So like a year ago or something, I started the $1,000 challenge, an amount many people can follow, at least see as realistic. And the thing, when you have $1,000, you have to take some chances, because it's not like when you have $100,000 and you can benefit of being divested into several stocks. So I told you I would go for high risk stocks. I will try to do bounce up trades, stocks that have fallen very hard, which I see and potential upside in, meaning that they will go up. I think it was Pfizer last week I told you to be such candidate. I forgot to check how Pfizer actually did. And I said that was a bounce-up candidate, and it had some upturn, not the very, very best actually. I'm not sure it was Pfizer either. I have to go back. I'm saying too much in this podcast, but have to go back and see which candidate it was. One candidate I remember which had a huge fall and was an obvious rebounds candidate. But that is what we are trying to do: pick stocks which have fallen very hard, and do a bounce up trade. I did that, by the way, in Nvidia last week. That was an obvious bounce up trade to me. But again, having $1,000, have to try to be hard on the play, and with hard play comes high risk, and that is how you lose money. Very often it's how you lose money. Now, I've done this before, so I'm not that scared, but we know that FATE, for instance, was high up. We had huge profit in FATE and suddenly start to ramble everything. I had a very low stop loss because I expected some of this to happen. From being in high plus, we was in a slight minus by 2% or something last week, and then it did exactly what it was supposed to do, follow the market, and even then so going up to $402, giving 17.89% profit. I still have FATE, and if we rewind some podcast back when buying, I said that to me it looks like FATE should go up to $5, so that is approximately where I want to be. Is it realistic? I don't know. And being very volatile, we might be on a downturn again, because if market turns really red this week, there is no way FATE is going to go against it. It will fall as well, but I think it can be a slow week. And in this territory, it might be that FATE actually will try to go for a push towards $5. So FATE still remains in portfolio, but again, we are at a place where it might be sold, and I will give that notification on the YouTube video. So you just have to watch the YouTube video for comments, and I will. And speaking about YouTube now, if you have a question about the stock, you can post it on YouTube, and I will try to answer it either in the comment section or in next week's podcast. FATE in the $1,000 challenge. The $1,000, I started with $1,000, currently sitting at $3,586. We was up at almost $4,000. The NEO trade went a little bust. It was cut by stop loss, and if we had been sitting in NEO still, we would have been at loss at least at $4,500. But that is just how it is. It was cut by stop loss, just like it should, even though I had a huge stop loss. NEO was way too volatile. Got cut. We regained money back in FATE so far, but we still need to push back over 4,000. And I want to grow this not to 4,000 but 10,000, and maybe if you're lucky even much more. What I do know is that we are getting close to levels where I will split out from doing just one stock to doing two stocks, and that, my friends, will be the time where things slowly start to change, because it will, if I'm good picking the stocks with the right upside, at the same time securing the downside, we should reduce the risk a little bit, and it will be less volatile, hopefully with more upside, so we can start to grow more steady, slowly upwards. While remembering, next week there will be podcast, but then I will go for a vacation to Turkey. I will spend 15 days in Turkey like last year, just relaxing, and during these 2 weeks there will be no podcast. So if you like the podcast, I will be back next Wednesday. Maybe if I'm in good mood and I find the right place, I might push a podcast from Turkey, but I cannot guarantee it. Personally, not sure if the market will be this good anyway during these weeks. We will see. Hopefully I'm wrong. As I always say, I hope when you get to the end of this week, I really hope that your portfolio will be much greener than it is in the beginning of the week. I wish you absolutely the best in your trading. I hope that you use all tools you find, no matter where they are, to your advantage. And that you are always curious how to learn more. Try to find information to scale up your knowledge, make your own decisions, pick your right strategy that fits your personality, because we're all different. I sleep very well if my stock falls 25%. Maybe you don't. I do it because I've been in the game for so long. Until next week, just have a super week. Bye.
Welcome to StockInvest.US Stock Analysis. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.US. By using the information, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.